Hi there, wellness entrepreneur. Welcome back. Today, we're talking about how to sign clients faster and the way to do it. And now I'm going to be blunt here, but we're going to get into why this happens and what to do instead. But it's when you hide behind your brand, AKA when you're redesigning your logo over and over again, or deciding on your colors or font or basic Canva templates. Essentially, you're behind the screen of your computer, but you're not actually talking to people. Now, you can be talking with people online through your phone or the computer, but this is different because what we're talking about is a sneaky way wellness entrepreneurs and practitioners sabotage building their own practices and business because they are essentially sometimes afraid of failure or afraid of rejection, or they're not sure what to do, or they're doubting themselves that an idea that popped into their head is the right next best step. And instead, they hide behind your brand. So, what I talk about is those days when you wake up, you grab your coffee, you think about today is the day I'm going to, actually talk to some potential clients. You have a few ideas, but then you open your laptop and suddenly you're convinced your Instagram bio needs work. Now, sometimes it does, but literally, if you're using AI, and especially if you're working with me, it should take 20 minutes, a half hour. But what actually happens is 2 hours later, you've changed your brand colors twice, you've researched new fonts, you reorganized your highlights, but you didn't really update what's happening within the highlights or update the grouping of your highlights to make your content more bingeable. You've just reorganized them. You started designing new story templates. You convinced yourself you need some more professional photos. So then you've researched photographers, and you know that that has to happen before you can actually post anything. Sound familiar, right? There can be so many flavors of this. It's sometimes what's known as brand perfectionism paralysis. And here's the truth, it's keeping your business small. It keeps you from signing clients. It keeps your revenue from hitting those 5-figure months. And what's really happening is every time you have the urge to do something that might result in a rejection, like reaching out to a potential client, talking to a student after your class and actually saying, oh, I can help with that exact problem when they come up to you, for example, saying, oh, I'm looking for a stretch for my neck, or I'm having trouble with this. What do you recommend? And you can say, oh, that's exactly what I work with people on. I offer one-to-one sessions. Would you be interested in a consultation? Right at that moment, you could experience rejection. They could say no. Your nervous system tries to protect you. But, and we're going to get also into this a little bit more in the next episode, is developing risk tolerance to be able to handle these rejections, having a support system with your nervous system to show up bigger. And we'll talk about what that specifically means because that can be very vague at time. But it's knowing and first becoming aware of how your brain is currently redirecting you to safer activities, which is often hiding behind a screen or deciding to put a brand logo that you've spent days trying to create on your Instagram profile bubble instead of a beautiful picture of your smiling face. And what feels safer sometimes than perfecting your brand? It feels productive, it's creative, it's the best of all. Like, no one could say no to your color palette. But here's the brutal truth, your ideal client doesn't care if your logo is perfectly aligned. Yes, you want to create a feeling with your brand, but what they truthfully care about, and this is especially important in the beginning when you're trying to get fully booked and hit those 5-figure months, is speaking to your audience and speaking to people one to one, wherever you're talking to them, whether it's through DMs or after classes or with potential referrals and collaborations, is being able to identify the problems that you solve and communicate them. So I see this constantly with practitioners I work with. The yoga teacher who spent 6 months getting her brand right, but has never posted about her private sessions and continues to hustle from class to class and is barely making ends meet. Or the massage therapist who's redesigned her website 4 times and redesigned her macros and micros, or it's very tactical, specific, nutrient oriented posts, or functional medicine posts about different types of labs and the results that you can and information you can get for them, but there's no connection. There's no differentiation from anyone else out there on Instagram. For example, it's all done behind a beautiful color palette and these truthfully posts stockpile pictures that anyone can make or do. That's similar, any health coach. So today, we're going to go about a brand approach that's going to change everything for you. Your brand doesn't need to be perfect. You want to create a feeling. And yes, you do want an entity of who you are and how you help people to be present, the start of a brand. Maybe there is a color palette. Maybe you do have one or a couple of good headshots that you can use. But it's understanding that it's enough. Where you are right now is exactly enough. Your ideal clients are out there right now in pain, struggling with variations of their health and wellness, looking for someone who could help them now. They're not scrolling Instagram thinking, gosh, I hope my future practitioner has the perfect shade of dusty rose in their color palette with a beautiful aligned font to match it. They're thinking, my back is killing me, or I can't sleep, or I feel stressed all the time. So the solution isn't brand perfection, it's brand confidence. It's believing that what you have right now is perfect and it'll evolve over time. In fact, the more people you work with will help your brand to get clear over time. And here's the truth. There's things about my brand that I could definitely improve, right? I did my logo. I did hire someone to do my logo who is in the spiritual and yoga place, but has a decade history of marketing, but I spent very little time on it. I really trusted her process. Maybe the whole process took an hour of my time, and it was a, a couple $100. So it wasn't anything crazy. And then based upon that logo that she designed, I just said, okay, those are the colors I'm going to use. And I quickly picked a font that is readable in Canva, for example, for my Instagram covers. And yes, those can continue to improve and be a little bit more symmetrical and aligned over time. But the truth is, I spent more time talking to people, having DM conversations, reaching out and going to networking events, being a keynote speaker at different presentations, following up with those people, leading my own workshops. And that has led me to consistent 5-figure months and a multiple 6-figure business, not spending days and hours creating the brand. So you see, there's always going to be room for improvement in the brand. It's being happy and knowing that what you have right now is perfect. And you got to just get out there and start talking people. And then noticing if you're hiding some more, why is that? And write that down. And that is the perfect thing to bring to a coach, someone like me, or in a program, and figure out different ways to work through that growth edge and support your nervous system. And we'll go into this again a little bit more next week. So stay tuned, developing that risk tolerance. But here's some philosophies and theories that you can start to implement this week. Okay, number one is the 50% rule. If your brand is partially there, meaning you have a headshot that you can use to put in your Instagram profile, you have an email marketing software system set up that you can send emails, there does not need to be any branding there. Maybe you have one landing page that can act as your website, or you even use Linktree or a booking system that can act as your website, then that's enough. You just need to make sure that each of those areas is clean, it's clear, it speaks to the problems that you solve and the work that you do. It represents you professionally, then it's done. No more tweaking. And then over time, you can add a website. Over time, you can add specific brand colors and maybe even a logo or a specific fonts. What's most important is the message over the medium. That means that your message, what you say to people, or how you communicate the problems that you solve, is infinitely more important than the medium of how you say that message. Meaning, what you're actually saying in your Instagram posts or on your text overlay or videos, or what is actually being said in the carousels, is more important than how the carousels themselves actually look. So, for example, what is actually trending and going viral on Instagram right now is carousel posts with pictures from camera rolls. So, very raw, unedited, a day in the life type pictures of people, selfies, just smiling in the sun at a pool, or people on hikes, or people crying, even having hard days and challenging moments. And then there's a hook, the message on the screen in an energetic way that feels right to you, speaking to your audience about a problem that you went through that they can relate to, or you're specifically speaking to them, maybe in a more educational type of way, a problem that they're going through in a relatable way. And you're guiding them through how you understand what they're going through. You have maybe mentioned some tools, ways that you help people, and then you're providing the next step. That is the messaging that is more important over branded carousels, for example, where they don't show your face at all. Now, infographic carousels sometimes do really well, but you have to be careful there because sometimes that those can take hours to make in Canva. So I'd rather see you create content faster where you can test the messaging on the carousels and in your captions so that you can have the chance of getting pushed out and growing your audience, or having someone DM you after a post and say, "Oh, that really spoke to me. I think I might need to work with you." Then spend hours trying to perfect an infographic. You see the difference? So, this is an action first approach. Instead of perfecting your brand to attract clients, it's the other way around. You're going to start working with clients to perfect your brand. The more clients you work with will also better inform your messaging. Every consult I get, I'm always looking at, oh, what are they exactly saying? Am I bringing those specific struggles into my messaging? Every client session I'm working with, there's so many where I'm like, oh, that was so good what you said. Or I'm developing my own frameworks and modalities. Or I'm just getting to know my different types of ideal client avatars a bit better. Real client feedback beats your perfectionistic tendencies every single time. Now, I get it because every person has some of this because, we're human beings and our nervous systems will try to protect us in various ways. So, this can show up as perfectionism. It can also show up as a form of people pleasing or even procrastination, right? So, you just need to be aware and identify what are your patterns without judging or criticizing. It's just becoming aware because, again, then that's going to lead to the ability to make changes because you'll be able to disrupt your own patterns. And this approach is specifically designed for busy practitioners who don't have time to become graphic designers, but want to start making money now. So here's the benefits of doing this and becoming aware of the patterns where maybe you might be hiding in your business. You'll start making money more immediately because you'll have more communications. I've had so many clients come to me spending hours on websites or perfecting a type of Instagram post or their brand colors. And all we do is get out there and start having more conversations. For example, I just had a new client sign on. Her name's Melissa. And for a couple of years, she was really wanting to help more people. Now, she has a wealth of knowledge and a ton of skills and certifications, but there was an element of hiding in the background that she wasn't quite aware of. And again, we've all been there. At the same time, she was really yearning to get out into the community more. And she had a ton of different ways where she just wanted to talk to more people, but she was stuck with how. Because we just started working together, we are beginning to unpack what is happening in her nervous system. But the first things we did in just a couple of few sessions was move into specific strategies where she could get out talking to more people. We just left whatever brand softwares or colors and all that, we just left how it is. Instead, we started focusing on the strategies of how possibly she could get some workshops and classes in the community. She joined her local BNI and right that next week got a consultation, which is one of her first consultations in a really long time. So this can shift instantly when you shift into starting to communicate with more people. And because you're now starting to really hone in on the messaging that resonates with your ideal clients. You'll start attracting your ideal clients because perfect brands attract admirers, right? People that kind of watch and say, oh, that looks nice. It looks very clean. But are they taking action? Imperfect humans that are relatable with messaging that stops the scroll, that's going to develop human connections where people might say, oh, I need to DM her. Or if you're actually talking with people out in the community and you're picking up on where someone might be struggling and how you can help them and making offers, that's going to lead to a client. Not trying to perfect a brand that looks like or have perfect pictures that looks like you stepped out of a wellness magazines. And here's the truth. You build confidence through action. Every time you post, every time you talk with someone after class, every time you make an offer, and even if you get rejected or they say no, right? When you show up despite your perfect brand, when you show up failing at times, you're building confidence within yourself to know that you can handle that. And the confidence will compound. And over time, this type of work will become easier and you'll be on to the next problem in your business to solve. Plus, you're going to save so much time and energy. The average wellness entrepreneur, when they first come to me, spends, oh gosh, hours and hours, sometimes 8 to 12 hours a week on brand related tasks or trying to create one piece of content or write one email. And what really gets them stuck with all of this is just this perfectionism. Imagine redirecting that energy and time toward client attraction activities where you're actually talking with people. And that's potentially more clients and a lot more free time in your schedule. And plus, the more people you actually talk with instead of hiding, you'll get real market feedback. When you're hiding behind the brand perfection, you're operating in a vacuum, just behind the computer screen. But when you show up imperfectly, your clients, whether they're your ideal clients or just friends or acquaintances, but you're having more conversations about the work that you're doing, those conversations will inform you exactly on messaging and messaging that's working, messaging that's not, and you'll be able to refine and understand exactly what you do and who you help and the messaging that's going to really speak to them so much faster. Okay, so here are some things that you can do this week. Do a brand audit reality check. Right now, look at your brand. Does your profile have a nice smiling picture of you? It does not need to be professional. Is the words in your profile, the bio, does it make sense of who you help and what you do? I can't tell you the number of brands or Instagram profiles I go to and I'm looking, oh, are they just a yoga teacher in the studios or are they actually trying to build a business? Are they taking on health coaching clients or do they just care about nutrition and diet and lifestyle? Make it clear. And if it is already there, then you're done. You're ready to make posts. You're ready to get out there. Instagram can be your landing page. Over time, you can even develop one page or even a PDF about your offer. But really, you're ready to move on to talking with people. Another area to examine and audit is your content. From now on, every hour you spend on brand work, you have to spend 3 hours creating content, and that might be, if you're spending 3 hours creating content, that should get you a week or even 2 weeks of content, or at least 3 emails, or you're going to be reaching out to potential clients. That forces you to prioritize your revenue generating activities and also address the brand growth that maybe your nervous system is really wanting. So we're not going to bypass it. We're going to acknowledge it, but we're going to do a 1 to 3 hour ratio. Try it. It really will change everything. Another strategy that you can try and implement is the phone camera challenge. This week, I want you to create one piece of content using only your phone camera. No fancy graphics, no perfect lighting. Just use your phone and the Instagram or the Edits app and your messaging and put it out there and see what happens. And if it flops, that's okay. All it means is it's the messaging. It has nothing to do with the branding, right? Start to develop the imperfect post protocol. Set a timer for a half hour. Write one post, a problem you solve for clients, and hit publish when the timer goes off. No editing, no perfect graphics, no overthinking. It'll just help to break that perfectionist cycle. Or set a timer for an hour and write one email And whatever you get done there, that just set it out. It's plenty of time to send an email. Another strategy, if you're on the rebellious side, a little bit like me, develop the anti brand strategy. So for the next month, focus on these things only: clear messaging about what you do and communicate it in all these different ways, making offers in person, through DMs. Consistently show up where you're meeting more people. And you know that you are because you're adding people to your email list, you're having more DM conversations, you're having people inquire about what you do, you're even having consultations booked. And number 3 is measuring the amount of direct connections you have with your audience. So it can be the number of conversations you're having on Instagram or out in the real world, or you're actually seeing the number of networking events you're going to in person increase, or you're starting to set up more workshops in the community. Everything else is just noise. So here's some practical examples. Instead of spending your morning tweaking your Instagram highlight covers, write 3 DMs to potential clients. Instead of researching new brand colors, write an email to your list speaking to a problem they have and how your program will help to solve it, and then have a clear CTA to book a consult with you. There's a simple email framework right there. Instead of creating the perfect story template, just make a story. Just publish it and see what happens. Record a quick video answering a question your clients always ask. If you're thinking that you want to look professional, professional does not mean perfect. Professional means reliable, knowledgeable, and trustworthy. You can convey all those with a basic brand and get great content. Plus, what's really going to help you stand out is not your brand, it's your messaging. Again, what if people judge you for your imperfections, or if you're failing or it doesn't look perfect? Here's the truth. People are going to judge anyways. People are always judging. You can't always please everyone, especially as your audience grows, which we want to happen. So it's not about people pleasing everyone. It's about resonating with those ideal clients in such a way so they take action. So what can you do to work with yourself and support yourself against people that might have thoughts about what you're posting? And if you've invested so much money on your brand already, that's okay. The money you spent has gotten you where you are. Now, we want to get out of that sunk cost fallacy where you're just staying there trying to make it better. We want to let that go. What is the quickest way to get your return on the investment in the money that you've spent on your branding? Is actually to sign clients. So then the next question is, what can you do today to sign a client today? And when you answer that question, you're going to take action to moving forward to signing a client today. And when you do that day after day, that's actually when you will start signing clients faster. It's remembering confidence comes from action, not from the pretty graphics. So here's the last reminder for today. Your perfect brand isn't going to book your next client. Your imperfection will, because it's going to be relatable. When you're refining your message, when you're telling your story, when you're showing up as you, authentically you, that's what's going to book the next client. So if you need my help with this, of course, that's what I do each week. We work on this in the Instagram Message Makeover Clinic. I work on this one-to-one with clients. If you're ready to learn more, then just use the link in the show notes to book your free consult, and we'll talk about where you might be hiding in an honest conversation and how to get out of that, and what your next best steps are to start hitting those 5-figure months, getting out of the grind, getting out of the hustle, moving more online, if that's what you want to do. Done is better than perfect, and imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time. Now, I've been there. I've got you. I work on this myself all the time. But as you can see, and that's part of the reason why I leave all these 300 plus episodes up on the podcast and my YouTube channel, which is slowly growing, and my Instagram, all those old posts. So you can see where I've shown up day after day, week after week, imperfectly, and I continue to evolve. And that is how I built this multiple 6-figure business, and how I keep growing year after year. Okay, you can do it too. All right, I will see you next week. Bye for now.